slow dancing in the night. Yeah, I wake you up inside. I want you close and tight. Yeah, I want it my way. Love is a feeling, and you can quench this fire. No, no. So give me when I want it, baby. 'Cause I got what you need. Oh, just give it to me, give it to me. Oh, give it to me now. Just give it to me, give it to me. Oh, give it to me now. Just give it to me, give it to me. Oh, give it to me now. Just give it to me, give it to me. Oh, give it to me now. Just give it to me. Oh, give it to me, give it to me.
Like so. Tell me what it is. What you want from me? What you want from me? Tell me what it is, don't tell me what it ain't. They try to throw salt, it just made the pressure raise. Going through a phase, gotta get myself out it. Don't talk about it, boy, they said you gotta be about it. So I be trying to face the world head on. Front seat riding, cruising down the meadows. Pedal to the meadow, cool breeze blowing down the windows. Calm trees, blowing trees, get that boy some headroom. On the interstate in traffic, but I swerve out. What's the moves for the night? What's the word now? What's the links? Hit me up, we could go now. I got hella pieces, she got hella features. Get me hella geeked up, she be blowing shisha. Reefer on me loud, hope them boys don't
Okay,
creep up.
perfect. Got
I don't know
like
then.
2
If you gonna
minutes.
speak up
Cool.
in my own world, I don't try to
Girl, tell me what you want. Don't be tryna front like I ain't what you want.
Okay.
I ain't here to stunt.
I got
Let me
you.
take you out for lunch. I'ma get you drunk, yeah, feeling on your buns. Licks in the blunt. I got ash in my cup. All these girls showing up, but I don't give a fuck. Cause you the one I want, girl. You the one I want. Girl, you the one I want. Hey, come and show me love. Shorty wanna be a rider, and I'm feeling high, I can't deny it. She a bad John named Maya, and when I seen her, man, she look fire. She got me feeling higher than a sour, so I'm trying to feel how I feel inside.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
That's what I be waiting for, man. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it. I'm Rebecca Azor.
Oh, and I'm Benjamin Dixon. Today is Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. We still got it. We still got it. How y'all doing this morning?
I like that.
I'm doing really good. So, this morning I got up early for work, but I was watching, somebody has been sending me videos where different people have been sending me videos for like about a week now, right? And I'm like, they're like, I would love to get your take on this person. I would love to get your take on this person. I'm like,
oh boy,
who's the person? Kevin Samuels. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, and I should have dropped a picture or a link to his videos in the. But I didn't know if they had the curse words. I didn't know if they had the curse words or anything. But watching this man who has been taking over social media for the last month now, but I know he's been doing this for a while. But he's gotten hot off of topics about relationships, and the man literally first of all, Black women literally get on this damn show and will say stuff like, yeah, I was in a relationship. So you telling me that if I had a baby that I got to just open my legs to the neck, to the man that I marry? No, I want it to be, so I want to make sure I'm stingy with it, like whatever. The man told her, girl, you already a baby mama. So you telling me that you're trying to keep your legs close to a marriage, to a marriage? What that got to do with anything? I'm like, this is crazy. But the women keep coming back and they keep coming back. I feel like I'm watching some kind of sitcom, but then he does it to men too. He literally destroys men and women.
Destroys them.
He said to a dude, I watched the clip yesterday because he's the hot stuff right now. Everybody, he's the one going viral. And the more controversial you are, and honestly, not even just controversial, like he just like, well, I'm not gonna say anything other than that 5'10" guy who was 284. Who Kevin Samuels said, "Oh, you's a fat." I was like,
"Who makes $400? $400
every 2 weeks?
Every two weeks." So he calculated.
God.
He's like, "You fat. You seem like you're not confident about yourself, and you don't even make money, but you want women to approach you."
But the dude was in college. The man
exactly, and then he's like, "I'm in college." He's like, "So when I was your age, I was making such
money.
and such when the minimum wage was $3.36." I was like, "This is crazy." And then the woman was like, he looks at the woman in the Zoom and says, "You're a 6 at best. You're an average at best." And then one lady was like, "I'm about 5'4". And I'm about 5'4" and 180 or something. He says, "Ooh, you bigger than most men."
Oh my God. He is, listen, I'm laughing because it's going to get like the internet, like he's on the uptick in terms of notoriety on the internet. Wait till the internet actually gets a hold of him. Like I just don't, it's going to be funny. It's like, I don't think he's going to back down at all. I think he's going to double down. It's going to be just an all out war. But I've been seeing those clips. I've been seeing.
And just a day ago, the Twitter did its thing. And they were like, he owes back taxes on child support or back pay on child support or something.
No, you can't be out here talking about people and your stuff ain't clean now. You got to be
your stuff ain't clean.
He's just so confident in him. Yeah, but he's just so confident in himself. I feel like that is not even gonna. That's not gonna affect him, and people are still gonna watch because that's I said. There's no true cancel. There's no true cancel culture.
It is definitely entertaining. If there was true cancel culture, there's a whole lot of people, especially in the world that we exist in, that would have been canceled. So no, I agree. There's no such thing as cancel culture with like very, very few exceptions. Chrisette Michele got canceled. I think she's coming back.
I still listen to her, but
I listen to her all the time.
I don't care what people say.
I think she's back now.
Because people still people still mess with Kanye, but I'm not going to get into that conversation. But people still mess with Kanye. So
Kanye should have been down. Like love his music, but So cancel culture is selective. They pick and choose.
It really is.
That's why I'm selective and I'm real with mine. Like the world may cancel this person. And if I don't want to cancel this person, I'm not going to, you guys aren't going to force me to do anything. Yeah, just like we can't force racist folks not to be racist. It's just, I'm not going to, it's a whole place of people like Kevin Samuels and these other people that people will listen to and will give clout and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm going to be shouting in the background to the sky, "Oh my God, he literally just tears black men and women down." And y'all watch it. But they're going to be like, "Girl, no, he don't." He's going to I'm not fighting nobody in the comment section no more. Like, it's just not a thing for me.
Well, I mean, I'm not even just the comment section. Like if that's what that brother wants to do with his platform, that's what he's going to do with his platform. More power to him. That's what I'm saying. It is. I'm going to be honest with you though. I ain't going to flex. It'd be funny sometimes. I'm like, I
was like, watch your mouth. Because anybody who will get on social media and say, that what he's saying is Bible is different from saying it's funny. I can't watch it after a while because it starts
too abusive.
It makes me, I'm like, dang, he is really bruising. Like, you don't know what people can do after those conversations, but people do put themselves in those positions after watching him and still come on the show.
They'll call.
They still call.
Y'all would be surprised how many of these sites do that. I know there's a gay one that does it. They get on this on Bigo Live. I don't know what that is, but it's another program, a platform where they get on there and these queens start tearing each other apart. And it's worse than what he does.
It's so abusive.
It's too much going on in this pandemic for us to just sit there. Like, again, do what he wants to with his platform. It's going to be hella successful because people like that kind of stuff. People love that kind of, and whenever it comes across my timeline, I'm like, this is crazy. And I laugh. But it's not my cup of tea in the sense of it's like too many people going through too many things to
mentally.
To really,
I guess that's why it's I'm like, dang, this is hurting me. Like it's funny, and then 2 seconds later, I'm like, it's hurting me, not because I can relate, but dang, he is tearing her down, and she probably thought she was the prettiest thing before that call. So yeah.
Listen, if you don't want to get your feelings hurt, don't call in to that show. Call in. That's the only thing we could. But speaking of call in, we're going to get our call in system back up and running. We haven't done live phone calls. We haven't done live phone calls on our show in about, I don't know, almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So we're going to get live callers back. Now, listen, don't call in with ignorance now. You call in with ignorance, you're going to walk away feeling
you're going to get muted like Kevin Samuels be doing to people.
Yes. And just so that you're sure, go and check my backlog of all the videos where I handle conservative callers who came in. Like, just make sure you call in with a good question. Now, we could do that. But if you come in, and maybe that's what he's doing. Are they calling into his show with really ignorant stuff? So, he's responding in kind? Is that what's going on?
Okay, so Dwayne, if you can hear me, I'm gonna drop some stuff in Slack, and maybe towards the end of the show, we will give an example because I can't really tell it. You guys have to see it.
Yeah, no,
it's painful to watch.
I can hear you, and I was just gonna say, Ben, I got your back. I don't mind being the Sandman if people start acting crazy. I'll get some music queued up, and we'll boot them.
Oh no, I like it. I like it when people call in acting crazy because it's like
not me. I don't have.
I get to respond. I get to respond with the same energy that they call in on. So
exactly.
That's why I'm pausing and I'm thinking maybe I'm not watching. Maybe we're not getting the context in some of those clips because if they call in with ignorant energy, then they should expect to receive an ignorant response.
And I don't think they're calling in with ignorant energy. They're really calling in to tell their point, and he's already on straight shutdown. Like, nah, sister. So you mean to tell me your husband is dead? He was in the streets, but you knew he was in the streets before he was in the streets. You had babies by him. You knew you had a street. You knew you had a street dude. Come on,
it's cruel. Speaking of, getting to cancel culture and people who should have been canceled, but they are not canceled while we're canceling everybody else. Ted Cruz, Cancun Cruz. The man who went to Mexico instead of no, seriously, he went to Mexico instead of taking care of the people of Texas. On Monday, we talked about how he fled to resort. Cruz tried to pin the blame for his decision to go to Cancun on his daughters. And if that wasn't good enough, he said that they were the ones who wanted to go, not him, and that he was just being a good father. Well, now Senator Cruz is pivoting to another target, another talking point, someone else he wants to blame. This time, he's starting to blame the media. Let's take a look at this clip from last night on Sean Hannity.
You dropped off your daughters in Mexico. You came home in a day, probably less than a day. And here you have this scandal with Governor Cuomo, barely mentioned on these so-called other news networks. You're like 24/7 because you dropped somebody off and you came back home. I still think you can be a father and senator at the same time. And then you look at the scandal in New York and the cover-up. Where's the proportionality from the mob and the media? We got less than a minute.
Well, you're right, and I think the media is suffering from Trump withdrawal, where they've attacked Trump every day for 4 years. They don't know what to do, so they obsessed over my taking my girls to the beach. I got to tell you, today I asked Merrick Garland if he would open an investigation into Andrew Cuomo's shameful policies. A senior Cuomo aide admitted they lied. They covered up the policies that sent COVID-positive people into nursing homes and may well have resulted in the deaths of thousands or tens of thousands. Merrick Garland wouldn't commit to investigate it, and the media won't even cover it.
And they did it to avoid a Justice Department investigation.
Exactly.
I don't know. There was a name for that when I grew up. I think you know what it's called. All right, Senator, thank you.
I know exactly what it's called. Sean Hannity is called whataboutism. It's called BS, and it's also called tequoqui. It's actually what they're doing here is trying to deflect and say, oh, you guys are not investigating Andrew Cuomo. Well, check this out. I don't like Andrew Cuomo either. Get rid of him as real as Ted Cruz. Because matter of fact, everybody who has anything to do with the 500,000 people who are dead from COVID-19, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. I don't care if you're a conservative, fascist, communist. I don't care if you're black. You got to go. So Andrew Cuomo needs to go just as much as Ted Cruz, Eddie Monster looking ass needs to go. All these excuses don't mean anything. But let me bring it back in before I snap on these fools a little too much. That interaction was so revealing to Washington Post opinion columnist Greg Sargent that he dedicated an entire segment yesterday into dissecting it. He argues that by bringing up the media's Trump withdrawal, Ted Cruz is doing the following. He said he smuggles Trump into the discussion, not just as a misdirection, but also as a way to win the sympathy of an audience that can be counted on to believe Trump was unfairly victimized by the media for years. Cruz and Trump are linked in their victimhood and at the hands of the media, which is automatically exonerating. In other words, he's saying he's calling for help, Rebecca and James. He's saying like he's in a situation and he needs Trump and all the Trump supporters to now blame his negligence, his complete disregard. I mean, he literally got on a jet and went on vacation while his people, his constituents were dying. And now he's blaming the media, Rebecca.
That's exactly what it is. I don't know what else to say. This is a time where he's going to try to, of course, deflect. But what's funny to me is that he's calling out Andrew Cuomo. And like you said, Ben, you don't like him either. Now, yeah, is he a relatable, likable person? All of that Italian and all that, that's cute, right? But you hiding information, numbers, it makes you just as bad as Ted Cruz. Like I said, in this case, I don't care Democrat or Republican. I don't care red or blue. In this case, both of y'all are wrong, right? You literally left your whole state to go and be with your daughters, right? And blamed it on your daughters. Then Andrew Cuomo is over here not doing his state no favors. Like he's not even protecting his state. Both of you guys don't care about your areas. Both of you guys are not good leaders. You want to bring it in and say that the media is lacking Trump. We don't want to cover Trump anymore. Now we're focusing on what's happening now. Right. Texas is what's happening right now. You are the leader of Texas, my dude. So anybody can get it. That's what I'm trying to say. Any one of y'all will be held accountable and anybody is going to get it. This stuff is not above you. It's not above Ted Cruz. It's not above Cuomo. It's not above President Obama. It's not former President Obama. It's not above Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. If you guys aren't doing your job, you're going to be called out. And Ted Cruz, you crying out, which is clear what the columnist said. You crying out about Trump is you like whistleblowing so that you can get the Trump supporters to be behind you in this particular case. So,
And that's, honestly, I have and I tweeted last night, and I'm very serious about this, folks. Like if somebody had told us at the beginning of the pandemic back in February that in less than a year or a year to the date, over 500,000 people would be dead. I think at that point we could have handled it. I think maybe that number at the beginning would have scared people enough to do anything and everything they needed to do to protect themselves, with the exception of the fact that this government has not provided anything for people to be secure in this insecure moment. In other words, the government ain't writing us checks. And so there's people who literally have no choice but to go out into this pandemic. And those people are included in that number of 500,000 people. But I wonder if we knew a year ago that 500,000 people would be dead, how would we have handled this differently? Because at this point, I think the water, and it's like the frog in the pot scenario where just the frog doesn't realize it's getting boiled. I don't think the American people really understand the level of trauma, the collective trauma that we've gone through. Because I honestly, James and Rick, I honestly do not know how this government is still standing when 500,000 people are dead. To me, that just doesn't calculate. It really broke my brain this summer. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me this government can get away with neglect to the extent that 500,000 people are going to die? And you got people on Twitter who are so-called revolutionaries, so-called, worried about the cancel culture. You got all these intellectuals who spent the time this summer worried about whether or not this New York Times columnist Barry Weiss was going to get canceled. And instead of focusing on the fact that the president of the United States at the time was bringing down y'all remember what he did during George Floyd protests, how he just stormed and cleared out that protest in order for him to do this photo op, completely disregarding this constitutional system. Simultaneously, by that time, I think 250,000 people had died. My question is when will the people have had enough with the amount of deaths that are being caused by this government's neglect? That's my question.
I don't know how to, again, like, I know I always start off some of these things like, how is this happening? It's so crazy. Yeah. But they let 500,000 people die. Yeah. And under Trump, so much happened that shouldn't have happened within the government. So I don't know if I can say I'm shocked, but I just look and say, how do we still have this government? Because it doesn't bother people that much that 500,000 people are dead. It doesn't bother people that much that for a long time, Trump led under white supremacy. And he blatantly disrespected Black folks and assisted in a clan of police officers joining together to disrespect more Black folks. And, you know, it doesn't matter how many times we get it on camera, right? They're still going to be like, police lives matter. And, you know, always. They're still going to try to make it seem like, blue lives matter. And they're still going to try to make it seem like we were calling us saying Black lives matter is disrespecting everybody else. When I look at the government, I just kind of, I don't know. There's nothing there for us. They don't care about the people. Look how they did us in the pandemic. It's just so much I can say. So, but there are people who will always protect the government and who will always see it through, no matter how many times that we can break down in the simplest terms and have the background. That's why I don't even care to give it anymore when I'm tweeting or something. I said what I said, because if you just look at the world today, you see the government. Look how they treat us in the middle of a pandemic, and people will still say there's systems and there's rules that we need to follow. Are you kidding me? Like, there are rules and legislations and things like that if we were following today, Black folks will still be treated even worse than how we're treated now. So please.
Like how do you expect me to pay taxes and you ain't doing your job for the people? I simultaneously have to pay taxes and give to charity and all this, and I ain't got that much money. So I'm giving like the bottom of my coins here to do my job, to donate to people who are and then you want me to pay. It's the government's job to do this. It is the United States government's job to provide for the people in times of crisis. If they cannot provide us security, why does it exist? Why does it exist? And you know why it exists? It exists to the benefit of people like Ted Cruz, people like Jeff Bezos. We're going to be talking about Amazon here in a minute. It's here for the benefit of the people who are not even affected by this. They're sitting in their ivory towers. They're sitting in their luxurious homes. Hell, some of them are getting ready to take rockets out into space, and they don't care about the essential worker. They don't give a damn about those 500,000 people who died, because if they did, they would be doing something fundamentally different. And Rebecca, one quick thing about what you said, it is rooted in white supremacy. It literally is rooted in white supremacy. It is how this government has sustained itself. This is how this powerful cabal of leaders have sustained themselves. It is the same thing that Bill O'Reilly said on his show years ago, that America is run by white Christian men. And that is exactly why they don't care. They don't care so long as their core constituency is taken care of, which is rich, white, Christian men. Yep. As long as those are people taken care of, to hell with the rest of us. Matter of fact, go ahead.
Yeah. And like Bubba, you know, we still in the game. We still in the corporate game. When you look at your check every 2 weeks or whenever you get it, you realize, how much is being stripped from us. And we still, during tax time, especially during this pandemic, I can't lie, I chose to opt out of them taking taxes, and they still took taxes, but I still owe them money.
Gotta get that money.
So that's what I'm saying. They still took taxes from me, and I still owe them money. I did that so that I can help my family during the time, and, you know, and then, you know, it was supposed to be assistance, and it's just all over the place. What I'm saying is the government, all that money that I put in and things like that, didn't matter for anything. And then the time that I decided, okay, I'm just going to make sure I'm secure for the few extra $100, they literally still took some money, hundreds of dollars, still were taking hundreds of dollars. And then I tried to do my taxes to get, a good little coin like everybody else during tax season. And they told me that I owe God, Jesus, Lord. And this is my first time ever owing in my life.
Get you a payment plan. Get your payment plan with the IRS. Go ahead, James.
Rebecca, and I know what you're talking about, sister, because I did the same damn thing. I had no choice. It's just me, child. I got to pay these damn bills, so I feel you. And the same thing, they took out that extra $100, $200. Like, wait a minute now. Okay. Yeah. And of course, I still owe. So
yes, and that's crazy. And I calculated how much I was taking home from my corporate job. I calculated at the time how much I was taking home. And then I was like, this don't seem right. So I got on the computer and I went on to the website. They will show you proudly how much that you only taking home 65% of your check.
Yeah.
65 to 70% of your check.
Yeah.
And they will show you that proudly because they give you benefits. Don't get me started because I will. I
we have a whole show just on that.
You know that I literally, during this whole panoramic, okay, I literally had to go because I decided to take off time for me and my mind and my health and just a breather. And I was supposed to take a month, right? They approved it. All of a sudden, they tell me, oh, we're not going to pay you for that. And if you do want to get paid, you need to put in a word with us, but it'll take 45 days.
What?
So now, yes. Yeah, I can't make this up. And they make it seem like, because you wanted to know
they watching, right?
Yeah, I do. And they make it seem like, because you wanted to go get help and you search for help and all of this stuff. Like, oh, the little help that we did give you, that's enough. Like, look at us. Everybody else ain't helping their employees like that. But I'm like, you guys have to understand, like,
they don't care.
Can't dangle this help over our heads and make it seem like it's a doggy treat. Like, I'm not an animal. Exactly. I literally work. The money, my taxes and stuff go to that emergency fund. So when the employees need to take time off, it should never be 45 days to get them the money or whatever. You should be giving it to them there. Y'all got it. It's been sitting there for us. Years and years of no emergency. It should go to the employees.
But that's the point, right? The point is for them in every turn, every possible conceivable way to take as much from you as possible so that they can maintain their bottom line. They got to make their money. Corporations have always, corporations are evil, right? Especially because they put profit first. And all they care about is making their money. Capitalism is evil. But I'm going to talk about that government taking that 35% of your check, right? 65% you take home, 35%, that's going to the government. That's going to the people who are now telling us that they can't help us get out of this pandemic. And I'm sorry, listen, I need more than just a feel-good change in terms of how the president communicates with us. Super glad Donald Trump is gone. Excited, ecstatic that he's gone. But I don't need you to tell me you care and you ain't out here saving these lives because 100,000 people died last month. And I need you to act, Joe Biden, as if that counts. I don't need you to just be emotional with us. I need you to do something. Shut this shit down. Shut it down. Too many people are dying. And we got a new strain. There's a new strain coming out of California. Matter of fact, let me go to that story so I could bring myself back in. There's a new strain. Let me read real quick so that I could because I don't think people really understand. At this rate, 1 million people are going to be dead probably before June.
Yep.
How?
Yep.
How does that not break us? And how does a government that presides over that remain in power? I don't give a damn if you're a Democrat or Republican. These are real people. It could have been me. It could be my family. It is somebody's family. It is somebody's mother. It is somebody's brother, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody who had as many big ideas about the universe as I do. There's some brilliant people who are in those numbers. And I don't care if you're a Democrat. Andrew Cuomo needs to resign. Resign. Ted Cruz, resign. Joe Biden, you got a few days. You got to implement something to save lives. No hesitation, no delay. I don't give a damn about a filibuster. Whatever you got to do to save people's lives, you better goddamn well do it. Because if we reach 1 million people, I don't care. I will not care, because I don't care now. The only thing keeping me right now is my kids. But there's going to be so many people who finally realize what 500,000 people actually means. And that's going to be it. Because y'all playing with our lives. You're playing with our lives. You're not just playing with our livelihoods. You're playing with our lives. James, take me to a break, man, because goddamn America. Goddamn this country.
I'll be right back. Look, get me off the...
Good morning, everyone that's checking us out in the chat room, y'all. We are glad that y'all here, and welcome to another edition of Like It or Not. Make sure that y'all are hitting that like button while you are here. Like. Comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, all right?
And in the way you look at me, I get nervous when you get close and my heart fills up with butterflies. And then you leave me speechless. My world turned upside down. Just say that you won't go and break my heart. Break my heart, don't break it now. Remember, it's the only one.
Sensation, good morning to you.
One I've got, don't break my heart. Don't break my heart.
Nat A, good morning. Shout out to everybody that's checking us out this morning.
Don't break my heart. Wanna tell you how I feel instead of keeping it all inside. So hard with you, I don't know why. Believe me, boy, I've tried.
Punch right, I appreciate that. Brenda Johnson, good morning. Good morning, Mama Gwen, I see you. Peter, whatever I can do, man, I appreciate the love. Angela, good morning. Oh, I heart you too.
Just say that you won't go and break my heart. Break my heart.
Philip, I think it is. I don't know. I have a lot of spirit animals. We will say that Megan Thee Stallion is a spirit animal.
Don't break my heart.
Beyonce is a spirit animal. Let's see who else. Myself, I am a spirit animal. There we go.
Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart. Just say that you won't go and break my heart. Break my heart. Don't break my heart.
Chuck Diesel. Latifah, I appreciate that.
The one I've got. Don't break my heart. Just say that you won't go and break my heart. Break my heart. Don't break it now. Remember, it's the only one I've got. Oh, don't break my heart. Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart.
Purple Rain Hearts, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, y'all know I can be only me. Happy, that's it. But trust me, I go through a lot too. Well, coming back on the screen, my brother and my sister, Benjamin and Rebecca.
Benjamin.
You be smiling, hey man.
Benjamin.
Hey, tell them when they see us smiling, like we are literally smiling through a whole lot of stuff, right? This joy that I had, the world didn't give it.
You always gotta take it to church. That's the thing. Well, that's Ben's happy place. So I know that. And for me, it's like, Lord, like every morning, my friend wrote something.
Science fiction is actually my really, really happy place.
That's good.
Church is the way I don't end up going to jail.
Fighting people, hurting somebody.
Right.
My friend this morning was talking about something, yesterday. And she's like, I just feel mentally confused right now. Is this just me? And when I say all of my college buddies and peers, we all was like, listen, it is not just you, mama, but you are going to stick this through. Yeah, we were all talking about how like randomly I'll get up. I can't sleep at night sometimes, just randomly. And then in the morning I'll wake up and I'm like, don't cry. Don't cry. And it's not because I'm being too sensitive. It's not because I'm a woman. It's not because I have a vagina. It's not because I'm on my period. It literally is because the world is crashing down on my shoulders. Some days I feel like it's just too much. And I'm forced to try to be so strong every single day. And I don't. Sometimes I don't want to be strong. I don't want to be so strong where, what kills me doesn't make me strong. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
That thing ain't true. I'm sorry. Sometimes it makes you weaker.
You're broken and you have to be able to admit that, hey, guys, I'm broken. Sis, take a day because I was just there yesterday. You need to take a day.
Yeah. And it's okay.
And that is okay.
It's okay not to be okay. I'm so tired of people saying, Ben, you need to do this, you did that. Like, no joke. Everybody in this country needs to go to see mental health counseling as soon as this thing is over.
I'm in it now. I'm in it right now. And it has been a blessing to my life because everything is just like coming at one time. How can they expect? And Ben, I know we wanted to go into something else.
We were going to intentionally try to change the energy. But it is what it is.
How can they expect for Black people to be okay when we literally came into this pandemic scared for our lives, didn't know what was going to happen next, at the bottom of the barrel for help. Then we're out here risking our lives because y'all still killing us and thinking that we're supposed to just stay in the house and not speak about it. We had to go and fight for this stuff. And y'all thought if y'all just painted Black Lives Matter on the floor, that's going to change things. Nothing. We are some people have no homes right now on top of the pandemic, on top of being Black and oppressed today. So this is what's happening, guys. It's driving us nuts. We're in jobs that do not give two damns about us. I'm not talking about the morning show. I'm talking with our corporations don't give damns about it, but they will paint a picture as if, hey, I
give a damn about y'all. We give a damn about
you guys do. You guys do. But what I'm saying is this is what's driving me literally up the wall. And the only sanity I have is getting on this show with you guys right now.
Facts. That's straight up, dude. I've same goddamn way. I cried all goddamn weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's too much shit going on.
Yeah.
So doing this the only thing that helps me. Emotional wreck, bruh. My emotions are all over the place. You would think I was a female. No offense, but you would think I was a female.
Look, even Bubba is a whole gay man. Even him talking about something you think I was a female.
So, you think I was a female?
Hey, you're not gonna catch me say
it ain't about no vaginas. You ain't gonna
get me canceled.
It ain't about no
I ain't gonna say nothing like that.
It ain't about none of that. You literally could just be having a tough time. And females are sensitive, men are sensitive, everybody is sensitive, but right now it's especially sensitive for everyone. Jokes ain't funny no more like they used to be. Literally people, would we just be ready to fight or cry or just be like, stay away from me?
Rebecca sent a joke in our text message yesterday and I was like this nigga. I was like, you were joking and it just hit me. It just hit the nerve wrong. And I'm like, man, we are so, I don't know if people really understand how damaged and how traumatized we are. To that end, we're going to make a real hard shift here, Rebecca. Let's make a hard shift. We're going to play that Kevin Samuels clip because I want to reset. Because honestly, if we engage in what we really feel, it's not going to be a fun morning show, right?
It won't be fun, but I also think it's important. I don't mean to cut you off. Don't fight me. Don't send me no text message.
No, just remember that when I cut you off next time.
Yeah. But I also think it's important. I will remember that. But I also think it's important that we do share it because people that are watching are feeling it. Like they don't know that I'm working my job right before I get here. And the funny thing to me this morning was Kevin Samuels, but then I had to hurry up and because I felt tears coming down my eyes. I had to hurry up and shift to Molly music to give me some kind of joy, some kind of something, right? To come on here and maintain my happiness because there's so much going on in the background. But yes, shifting this hard shift to Kevin Samuels is going to be the thing.
And it's only, we only playing this. We're only playing this guy because we need to reset ourselves here, right? So let's see somebody. Let's just watch. Oh God, what are we about to play on this channel? Let's go.
What do anybody want to do?
Let's see. I'm intelligent. I'm motivated. I have my own business. I maintain my own lifestyle. I'm not understanding the full scope of your question.
Well, see, that's the problem now, ain't it? You just described yourself as a man. See, you got to understand what the men want. And nothing you said in there was anywhere close to being feminine, beautiful, inspirational, caring, loving. The way you're talking almost sounds like a dude. Better go back to your husband. That's all you got. Especially in New York. What part of New York?
Brooklyn.
That shocked you too, Dwayne?
It's done. And how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
How much do you weigh?
180.
Goodbye.
He didn't play trumpet.
He played taps.
No, he has that.
Oh,
he has that.
He does have that?
He has the sound effects on the show.
And why do people keep calling to get hurt like that? Like,
I think that was one of the earlier ones before he really got big in this last month, because people knew about him, but because of that, how he started talking to these people and the women just keep it's like, I'm telling you, it's like I've seen this off of Martin or something. Like, no, it really is like Martin's a character and he's disrespecting people, which I love Martin, but like as his character, and they keep calling in like, hey, such and such and such, and then he disrespecting them and says next caller or something like that.
Really, that's true.
I feel like it's a joke
from Martin.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those jokes, like a play thing, or
oh my God.
But it's not. It's really his character. It's Kevin Samuels. It's him. He is like this, and I know that he heightens it to sell himself because the women keep calling, and I think that the women think it's
the men keep calling too.
I think that
Where's the clip of him going off on that dude? Dude said, I'm 5'10". Oh, we talked about it, right? He said, I'm 5'10", 300 pounds, and make $400 every 2 weeks. And man, he roasted that guy. He roasted, because that guy, like the one guy who called in, had this expectation that women should come and talk to him, right? And the guy, and Kevin Samuels was like, wait a minute, brother. He said, how tall are you? He said 5'10". He said, how much you weigh? And so he, in those kind of instances, I'm like, well, you call in acting stupid, you get a stupid result. But yeah, whew.
But you know what he said? He said,
on that.
I don't ask. He said, I don't make judgments. I only ask questions.
All right. I'm gonna leave him be because I don't want to start an inter-channel war with that guy. I don't particularly want the smoke. I don't have the energy for that smoke. I got smoke with everybody else in the political world. So let's
stop calling that man channel.
Yeah.
Kind of want to call him. I ain't gonna call him. I'm gonna ask somebody else to call in. I'm like, hey, don't you want to call that number?
You know what? I'm gonna call in. Why the hell not? I'm gonna call in. Let's see how that goes. That'll be fun. Yeah. All right. So let's go.
He likes to break people down, Ben, and he literally likes to break.
Oh, so I'm evil in that regard. Like I am like a deeply seated troll, because I've already spotted like 8 things about him that I'm gonna roast his ass on if it ever needed to come to that. Right. Yeah. Let's do it live. But it's not even anything about hubris. It's about like, hey yo, like. We can't be doing people like this in the year of our Lord 2021 when the pandemic's out there, 500,000 people are dead. Now it's momentarily funny, but when you think about the damage that he caused that person when they get off the phone,
I was damaged and it wasn't me. I was like,
you felt damaged and it wasn't even you. That's crazy. That's something. I don't even forgot what. I know we got some guests coming on. We have a whole lot of great stories for you guys. And I just completed. This Ron Johnson guy, right? This insistence that the January 6th terrorist attack wasn't actually what we thought it was. Rebecca, you're following that story. What you looking at in that regard? Yeah.
So during Tuesday's Senate hearing on the January 6th Capitol insurrection, terrorist attack, and they put it in comma because they know I was going to do that. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson chose not to ask questions, but instead to peddle a conspiracy theory that the January 6th terrorist attack didn't include Trump supporters, but the Trump supporters were provocateurs and fake Trump protesters. Let's take a look.
Thousands of people I passed or who passed me along Constitution Avenue, some were indignant and contemptuous of Congress, but not one appeared angry or incited to riot. Many of the marchers were families with small children. Many were elderly, overweight, or just plain tired or frail, traits not typically attributed to the riot-prone. Many wore pro-police shirts or carried pro-police black and blue flags. Although the crowd represented a broad cross-section of Americans, mostly working class by their appearance and manner of speech, some people stood out. A very few didn't share the jovial, friendly, earnest demeanor of the great majority. Some obviously didn't fit in, and he describes 4 different types of people: plainclothes militants, agents provocateurs, fake Trump protesters, and then disciplined uniformed column of attackers. I think these are the people that probably planned this. He goes on, the D.C. Metropolitan Police were their usual professionally detached selves, standing on curbs or at street crossings and exchanging an occasional greeting from marchers. When we crossed 1st Street Northwest to enter the Capitol grounds where the Capitol Police had jurisdiction, I noticed no police at all. Several marchers expressed surprise. The openness seemed like a courtesy gesture from Congress, which controls security.
No police at all. Because the police was over there and part of the terrorists.
They were part
what
of
you talking about?
The guy, they just got the police officer from the retired NYPD officer who was literally gouging out someone's eyes at this insurrection, a proud Donald Trump supporter, and they can't see him. Okay.
And you listen, talking about some, I didn't see any police officers because they was right with you. And you're saying the jovial people. I'm pretty sure you were inside of the Capitol running. You were part of the people running. Could have been an actor. Could have been acting because you already knew it was going down. But you were in the Capitol running. So for you to say there were people out there jovial, that was literally, I think what was it? The rally that they did a week before that, they had a Trump rally, and they were out there. They weren't jovial then. They were burning down the Black Lives Matter signs right after that. They've never been. So, exactly. So the fact that they want to paint this picture of his own people. Of his own people. And they sit here in these seats and they lie. They lie. Look at them. Look at them. The lies.
This is 100% Trump country right there. Those are rich people who flew up in their jets, right? This is upper middle class people who drove up in their souped up trucks, right? And then there's some stupid poor people who are out there too, thinking that their way to get their freedom from poverty is to support the people who just gave the biggest tax cuts in the history of tax cuts to rich people. So you got a whole combination. Now one of them out there is joking, like he's Santa Claus. Like everybody out there is like they're too overweight. They're making it seem like Santa Claus was out there protesting on this day, or not. I'm sorry, we keep using the word protesting, terrorizing this country, treason. This is treason. This was an attempt to overthrow the government. Do you know that the penalty for treason? Like, is anybody really talk about the penalty for treason? Actually, is death. Right now, let some black folks have been out there. We would have been charged, tried, and executed on the spot.
We wouldn't have made it to the steps.
We would not have got off the boat. We would have. One black boy that was out there. His ass still in jail. Everybody else, they let go. And they know that this boy has mental issues, but this man's still in jail. And ain't nobody came to this man rescue yet. I love my brothers, but man, you wrong play wrong guy. What the hell were you thinking about?
He thought he forgot he was black. See, sometimes you get caught up. Sometimes you get caught up with all these ideologies, right? And all the ideologies sound really good. It don't just happen to conservatives, right? The black conservatives, because there's only a handful of them, but it happens around the board, right? You start listening to these people all over and over and over again, and you think that they really down for what they're talking about. No, black folks, y'all gonna let some of these white folks push you to the edge where you get arrested, where you get killed, you get put in jail, and they go home to their jovial Santa Claus.
Dude,
families.
if you come with me, dude, I'm telling you, dude, come with me right now, and I'm telling you, everyone's gonna. You're my black friend, dude. Stay right here.
Trust me, Billy.
Bro,
we're gonna cover you.
It's gonna be cool.
We're gonna cover you. No, his name is Daquan. Daquan, we're gonna cover you. We're gonna make sure you're good. Like you're gonna be with us. You know that
this how they did it.
People love you. You're one of us. You're not like them. Come on.
No, man, this is you're gonna be famous, man. You're gonna be the black guy who stood up against Black Lives Matter, and you're gonna be yep. And then you got it.
That's exactly what it was.
Did somebody pay that man's bail yet, or is he still sitting in jail? I think he's still sitting in jail.
I think he's still sitting in there.
Yeah, that's what what's the thing was saying. Here's my thing: we wouldn't even have made it to the steps, sweetie. Nah. We wouldn't even have made it to.
We wouldn't have got out the
metro. I don't have any nails on right now, so I can't get the airport. What I'm really trying to say, but we would not have made it to the steps. Period. Yeah, we would have been literally shot down for even like trying to conspire.
No, we can't even conspire.
We fighting for something real.
Yo, so we can't even conspire. Y'all know we can't have chat rooms. Feds are in our chat rooms. That's why I don't do nothing online no more. People are like, Ben, why do you always call? Because, well, if they got a recording of my voice, that's fine, but I'm not going to leave them a paper trail, right? And they really literally infiltrate us at every, whether you're talking about a violent overthrow of the federal government or whether you're talking about stuff we talk about, which is like the government got to do something or else we're going to flip our lids. They are watching every step. The FBI put out a post on Twitter saying, can you help us find this person? I'm like, how you the FBI and you know where every single black socialist lives, works, and twerks.
Couldn't believe it.
But you can't find this full face. You see the whole person's face and you can't find their identity. So no, we would not, black folks would not have got out the metro because we would not have made it to Reagan International Airport, whichever it was a Dulles, which is the DC airport. We would not have made it to the airport because we would not have made it to the Atlanta airport because the feds is watching us right now. Yeah. But they let white supremacy go all the way to threaten the life of the vice president. And now they're like, oh, no, they were jovial. What are you talking about? They're all overweight. They're all old and there are children out there. Nobody was violent. Meanwhile, one police officer was gouging out the eyes of another police officer. Retired military were slamming doors and crushing the Capitol Police. Meanwhile, 5 people actually died and some took their own lives because of the magnitude of the moment. Yeah. So in this most explicit example of violence against this democracy, white supremacy is guilty of treason. The penalty for treason. Anyway.
Thank you, God, that we, or whoever you serve, listen, but thank you that
thank you, universe.
His dang Ron Johnson's account is no longer the only account that we will see because it's not just CNN, it's not just ABC that we're watching. Yeah. The streets is talking, baby. The people who was there got photos, honey. You know what I'm saying? Like the people are talking, sweetie. Like this will not be the only thing that we have to go off of because that used to be it. So when people come and like when somebody literally, it was one of these fighters. There was a picture of him. And somebody said race, Nazi. Somebody called him a Nazi. And then the white person underneath said, why did you call him a Nazi? And they're like, it must be the swastika that's on his arm. And they were like, oh, and then the white person wrote back, yeah, it's great to assume.
He had on a swastika.
You can't do it no more. There's photos. We have evidence now. There's no longer arguing to us with what the white media or mainstream media has been just driving down our throats. We have background now. Like we have photos. But they're still gonna act like, yeah, what a way to assume. It's here. Ron Johnson.
It's right here.
They literally had Trump flags, Make America Great Again. But this is the gaslighting, right? And part of the gaslighting is it does 2 things. 1, it occupies our time. But 2, it also gives like a lifeline to conservatives because now conservatives overwhelmingly, like I believe it was 58%. Somebody check me on the numbers, but about 58% of Republicans do not believe that this protest or this insurrection, this treasonous moment, terrorist attack, they don't believe it was Trump supporters. They believe that it was Antifa. They believe like it was Antifa. They believe that it was some provocateurs in that crowd. Meanwhile, the leaders of this insurrection, right? They took credit for it that day. They were proud of what they did. The record is on the internet, right? You have all the people who were there super proud of it, Donald Trump being a part of it, and yet and still they want to gaslight us. But what does that do? It just allows the conservatives to move on as if they are not responsible for yet the second time. The second time. Y'all, these clowns had the Confederate flag in Congress. The Confederate flag against which Lincoln waged an entire civil war to crush you into pulp, into nothing. Your heritage is failure. Your heritage is defeat. Your heritage is something you should be ashamed of because you're not even good at it. You weren't even good at that first one. You weren't good at the second one. You guys are losers. Give up. Give up on everything that you believe in, because what you believe in is going to destroy us. It's going to destroy society. And America is going to stand by. I had to shift the energy real quick. America, the government, Democrats, people in power, they're going to stand by and let this happen? No. White supremacy is an existential threat to this country. And if we don't destroy it, it will destroy us, period.
And with that being said, I really think that we should take a break because we have been on one all morning.
We mad today. We are mad.
I won't say and I won't say we're even mad today. I think it's more passionate today because we got stories to tell. And if we're gonna sit here and pacify y'all with our kikiing, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get a Wednesday or two with some real. All across.
You're gonna get all of it.
Actually, this is a good place to take a break because when we come back, we're going to be talking to Professor Harvey Kaye about all of this stuff. So we'll be back after this break. More like it or not, James, is your world.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to search for the Voices by Action Sprout app on your App Store or on Google Play. This way you can get in touch and in tune with Like It or Not. So what you do, make sure that you search Voices by Action Sprout. Voices by Action Sprout. All right. Once you get the app, get it downloaded, you want to use our group code 213756, group code 213756 to go ahead and join the Like It or Not group. From there, you will be able to participate with Like It or Not. Send us videos, stories, pictures, whatever you have, and we can get it played on the air, y'all. So make sure you get download the Voices app and join the Like It or Not group, y'all. Let's get it. Let's go. All right.
I've been waiting all night.
Kimberly Fraser, good morning.
Watch you blow my life.
Somebody in the chat said, "Man, Rebecca eat a Snickers this morning."
Cause you're not sober. Yeah. Now you know that ain't right. If you two knew you was coming over, that would be a problem. Yeah. If our friends knew undercover love and they would try to solve it. Solve it, yeah. Me and you, what we do, it stays between me and you. Me and you, what we do, it stays between me and you.
Barnwell, if I could play that, don't you know I play that every day? Last night the DJ saved my life. I'm out here saving lives on a daily. You know, I do what I can.
Cause you know I'll read it. Don't make me do this. I feel so foolish. No, breaking rules and that's facts, facts, facts. If you two knew you was coming
Sammy,
over,
good morning, good morning.
If our friends knew undercover love and they would try to solve it, yeah. You, what we do, it stays.
I think I got a song that's gonna soothe everybody over for a second at least. This is turning out to be one of the Like It or Not favorites. Stitches, Stilettos, what's going on, sister? I appreciate it.
You left me stranded, looking like a fool. All those nights
that way, just soothe it on out, y'all. Release your energy into the atmosphere and become one with the earth and the planet and the universe, y'all. Just let it go.
Know this, I refuse to be blue.
Aurora, I appreciate that.
Don't try, don't try to deny.
Kim, good morning, good morning.
You know it's true. The shame is on you.
it still amazes me that my mom knows how to use emojis and stuff in the chat like that. That's funny.
You can at least try to start using the word please, and maybe then
Boss, right, I appreciate that.
we could start over by being friends.
Jackson, thank you. Alicia, have a good morning. Have a good day.
Try to deny it. You know it's true. The shame is on you. Oh.
You're right. Mama got a whole lot of cards that she holding over there.
I'm your man. Stand up for me. Don't try to deny it. You know it's true. The shame is on you.
All right, y'all, that is one of our favorites right there, y'all, as you can definitely see. Coming back on stage, coming back on the screen is my brother Benjamin Dixon, y'all. Let's give it up.
Oh, man. Welcome back to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. Joining me now is a longtime supporter of mine and the Benjamin Dixon Show. And now this show is Professor Harvey Kaye, who is a historian, sociologist, professor emeritus of democracy and justice studies. And he's also the author of FDR on Democracy, a collection of FDR's greatest writings and speeches. Professor Kaye, there it is.
Let's get it right then.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you in this pandemic?
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I've been telling people I was really looking forward to today. And nobody else knows but you and me. But the fact is, I thought it was going to be a week ago. When it turned out I had my weeks off. I thought, oh, damn, I wanted to see Ben last week. But it's good to see you.
It's the pleasure's mine. I've been a long supporter of yours and your work and your writings. Matter of fact, you're one of the first books that I read of yours, Four Freedoms, where you discuss the reality that all of the promises of America are good, but without these additional four freedoms, we can't possibly take advantage of what's supposed to be the American dream. Could you speak on that first book, and then I want to segue into some of the current news?
Oh yeah, sure. No, the Four Freedoms was part of a speech, a State of the Union or annual message to Congress that FDR gave in January of 1941, before the United States entered the war. And its purpose, before I say anything else, is to reassure Americans that if the United States enters the war, we would not abandon the struggles and the programs of the New Deal against the Great Depression of the 1930s. And so he said, basically, he warned Americans that they will attack us. Okay, that was undeniable. But the fact was that we should look forward to a world beyond the war. And he said a world characterized by four fundamental human freedoms. The first was freedom of speech and expression. And the second was freedom of worship or freedom of religion, both of which, of course, are in the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And then he added, and he went further, and this really did excite just about everyone except the Southern Democrats, the white supremacists, and quite a few of the pro-business Northern Republicans. He said, freedom from want and freedom from fear. And these became in essence the slogan of the manifesto of the war effort. And it really did inform the struggles both overseas and at home of the greatest generation in all their diversity. Okay, that's important to realize, in all their diversity.
Freedom from want and freedom from fear. That strikes to the heart of what we do here, because it's like, it is the fact that we are in a state of perpetual want and need. Americans, humans across this globe, chasing after nothing more than survival. And then you couple that with the fact that the majority of this global experience in the global South for Black and brown bodies across the global South is perpetual fear, and fear of our drone strikes. I want to talk about both of those, but the first one I want to talk about is that fear, or that freedom from want. On Tuesday, Senators Tom Cotton and Mitt Romney unveiled the details of their big proposal to increase the minimum wage from $7.25 to $10, not immediately, but by 2025. Under their proposal, this gradual increase in the minimum wage will be taking place across the longevity of COVID. I think that's some of their justification. Romney and Cotton's plan would require all employers to use the E-Verify system. So now, in addition to tying this pittance of an increase of minimum wage from 7 to 10, which is completely unacceptable, and the time frame is even more unacceptable, they're tying it to the xenophobia and the bigotry associated with illegal workers, quote unquote illegal workers. Let's take it in parts here. Speak on the absurdity, because I haven't asked you about it, but I'm sure you agree. This proposal from Tom Cotton and Mitt Romney is just absurd.
It's shameful. Okay, absolutely shameful that they could stand in front of the American people and even talk in those terms. But I also want to say, okay, I do not want to be an apologist for what is going on over on the Democratic side either. The fact is, the Democrats have so much to be ashamed of. The fact that we do not have Medicare for all. The fact that there are still holdouts from the Democratic Senate caucus who oppose almost an immediate pursuance of the $15 minimum wage. So let's go back and let's consider about this $10. It is utterly absurd, okay? Look, you and I both know that the minimum wage, if it had been keeping up with any kind of American standard, would probably be about $22 an hour.
Right.
So 10 isn't even 50% of that. Yeah, that's absurd. And I want to make something clear. You mentioned my relationship historically and intellectually to FDR. For all of his faults and failings, FDR was serious when he meant opposition and transcendence of freedom from want. And when he signed into law in 1933, the National Industrial Recovery Act, which again was a flawed act. Nevertheless, he said, as he signed this into law, which included a federal minimum wage, he said, no company should be allowed to operate in this country that did not pay a living wage. And that should be the standard by which we move, not a minimum wage. We have to think in terms of a living wage.
Right. I love that framing. And I love the framing, because even FDR, he had his shortcomings and his failings, particularly when it came to Black people, the New Deal. We were left out of it in some significant fashions, but it does not change the fact that this is accurate. Freedom from want and freedom from fear, and connecting it to a livable wage, because $10, I mean, quite frankly, what we are trying to get Democrats to do was this at a minimum $15 an hour. That's still not a livable wage, because every other expense has increased, right? Worker efficiency and productivity has increased. And you're right. If we kept the minimum wage tied to worker efficiency and productivity, it would be $22, almost $27, according to some estimates. But all of that excess productivity, right? All of that excess wealth that has been generated by the workers across this country has gone to no one else but the top 1%. So the system is working exactly the way they want it to work. My question is how do we respond? How do we respond when they have this system, this government, and the people who run it, the ruling elite, the oligarchs, have a vested interest in keeping us in a perpetual state of want?
Okay, well, I'll start off with one thing, which is going to sound like the old throwback to the days of write your congressman, okay? But I mean it more seriously, and that is this. Look, I see too many contradictions inside the Biden administration. However, one of the things that I was really pleased by was that they did not name Bernie Sanders the Secretary of Labor, or at least that he resisted if they asked, because he is the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. And I see the fact over these years that the squad has grown in numbers. The Democrats are weaker, the squad is stronger. Bernie Sanders is chair of the Budget Committee. My feeling is that whatever else, at a minimum, you write to every member of the squad and you write by email or whatever means to Bernie Sanders, and you tell them that you stand behind them. Bernie Sanders sends out regular messages indicating the degree to which the agenda he had as a candidate is still the agenda he has as the chair of the Budget Committee. That doesn't mean he rules the Senate. What it means is he has a great deal of control over the bills that come out of committee. And the fact is that we have to show our support. But let me say something else, okay? And this is really the key. And I'll get to it, I promise. For 45 years, there has been a class war on working people in this country, pursued by capital, by conservatives, and by neoliberals. That includes both Republicans and Democratic neoliberals. And the fact is that what that class war involved, it went after the benefits achieved, the rights achieved by workers, the rights achieved by people of color, African Americans in particular. We're thinking of voting rights. And last but not least, the assault on women's bodies that we have seen now seriously for 45 years. Okay. Now, having said that, the shame of it is that the Democrats turned their backs for too long on the needs of working people. And honestly, working people, the working class, let's be blunt about it, has not seen a rise in its wages and standard of living since the early 1970s, which is probably further back than you folks were alive, okay? Whereas I was just coming out of college at the time. And if you had asked me in 1971 what I imagined in 1980, I would have told you, I would have imagined national health care, what we know of today as Medicare for all, but national health care. But that class war has gone on for all of these years. And what is astounding is that the Democrats turn their backs on the greatest capital D Democratic leader and president in American history, and that is Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his legacy, and the legacy of that administration and the legacy of that generation. And in doing so, what they end up debating trivialities about where we go as Americans during campaign season. And in fact, even Bernie, to that extent, failed us by not having walked into the room and turned to them when they said to him, "You're going to bankrupt us, Medicare for all, minimum wage at 15, whatever it was." And he should have said, "You call yourselves Democrats?" Right. And he should have metaphorically brought FDR into the room. The fact is that we have got to mobilize. We've got to, and what we need to do is not only organize, we not only need to join a union if it's available. Look, that Amazon development down in Alabama, I mean, a lot of history is going to hang on that vote, right? Yeah. It's also the case that New York State, I don't know if everyone knows, New York State has brought suit against Amazon for its treatment of its warehouse workers. I have a particular interest in that because my daughter is part of the legal team in New York State. She's an assistant attorney general that is pursuing that case. This is a significant moment. I do not know if the Biden administration is up to all of this stuff, but we have got to make sure that Bernie and the squad and others make him up to it. You want to have change? You've got to make Biden the great president that he never imagined himself to be.
Say that again for me. If we want to make change, we have
got to mobilize from below. Unions, whatever organizations are possible, Black Lives Matter, but they have to come around a joint. You know, I like to think of A. Philip Randolph in these terms. Yeah. A. Philip Randolph in 1926, in the 150th anniversary of American independence, told a gathering of thousands, and he said, African Americans brought democracy to the South for the first time in Reconstruction. Maybe in the 20th century, we can join in bringing economic democracy to America. And my thinking is, if we can create that kind of united front or popular front, that's exactly what we can do. So what we need, so really it's the case that we need to challenge. I don't want to say go to war with the Biden administration so quickly. That's too much at stake, and I think there's still good reason to be hopeful. We've got to challenge them. We have to make Biden the great president he never imagined himself capable of being, okay?
Right. Right. I love that, because there has to be we cannot reduce our politics to fandoms. Right. And if we do that, then we allow things to happen underneath this administration that we otherwise would lambast a Republican administration for. So and to be quite frank, like I love that position. Right. There is a period of patience that we're trying to provide the Biden administration. But when we start talking about some of these critical issues, the freedom from want, the freedom from fear, there's a problem in this country that transcends both parties. And we have to be really sober about it, because there are a certain level of policies that exist no matter which party is in power. And part of it really falls underneath that fourth freedom, like the freedom from fear. Like, what are we doing as an empire? Because America, the United States of America, is an empire. What are we doing to immigrants? The deportation. Right. We have cages now. They have air conditioning. Right. We continue this military industrial complex and its expansion. So it is help the people understand how, if we do not speak out against everything that we fight against, that we then become complicit because we allow an administration that we help put into power go unaccountable.
Yeah, look, we have voices. And for a start, I mean, it's a fascinating development, as we've seen. I mean, your show in many ways was pioneering. As I mentioned to you before we went on, I asked you how many years ago was that I first came on your show when you were up in Boston. The fact is, there are numerous shows that have emerged. If one had a lot of money and was a progressive, one could go from early morn to late at night listening to progressive shows. But these progressive shows and their audiences need to be reminded that merely listening is not itself a progressive act, that it is essential that people join. There's a key term. Look, when Biden spoke at his inaugural address and he talked about unity, all well and good, I'd like to have heard solidarity, okay? The labor word. Call it unity, call it solidarity. Working people in all of our diversity must figure out a way to come together. My feeling is the foremost vehicle for that is the labor movement. And that's why I place so much stock, is the word perhaps, in that effort down in Alabama. And I can tell you, if that breaks through, I hope that's a spur to efforts all across the country to do the same, because it's going to require that kind of thing. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've got this sort of historical imagination that works. And I go back to A. Philip Randolph in 1941, when he heard that For Freedom speech. Within 2 weeks, he launched what was called the March on Washington movement. And he planned to bring 10,000 African Americans to D.C. to demand that the defense industries be opened up to greater African American workers. And to make the long story short, FDR, unable to get him to halt the march by way of sending Eleanor to meet with him, invited him to the White House. And in that meeting, he turned to Randolph once they got down to business and said, how many people are you planning to bring? And FDR was concerned, because let's not forget, D.C. in 1941 was a segregated city, made segregated, Jim Crow, by Woodrow Wilson during the World War I. Okay, so FDR was concerned about the white police and what the white community might do to black marchers, and he had planned on bringing 10,000. And Randolph looked at him and didn't skip a beat, and he said, we're going to bring 100,000.
My man.
FDR leans back and he says, well, I guess we ought to do something then. And he signed an executive order regarding the opening up of defense industry jobs, and then went on to sign an executive order creating the Fair Employment Practice Commission to make sure it was overseen. And by the way, when he did that, it didn't only help African Americans. African Americans, in some way, were the vanguard in their effort. It opened the door also to people of diverse religions as well, not to be denied. So let's think about this, okay? Let's think about this. When Randolph left that meeting, he actually said to someone, I don't remember if it was Walter White, the head of the NAACP, or a cousin, he said he knew before he got into the room with the Oval Office that FDR was going to do what needed doing. Now, why did he feel that way? Because he said there was no way FDR was going to bring me in and turn me down. The implications would be too great. And he also knew that what FDR was doing was he was creating almost a theatrical moment, so that when he signed that executive order, when the Southern white supremacists came at him, he said, I had to do it. Had to do it. Okay. They made me do it. Had to do it. Okay. So having said that, I want to say now here we are in the 21st century, right? 21st. And that was 1941. This is 2021, 80 years later. And if Biden hesitates, if Biden fails to go where we need him to go, we have got to see a coalition of labor, maybe with Black Lives Matter folks and others, maybe with maybe Sarah Nelson as the champion of the cause. Let them make the demands, okay, that America's renewal and unity requires the push from below and the action from above. Does that lay it out?
Yeah, no. And you mentioned again what's happening in Alabama, the union movement that's taking place. I believe it's Bessemer, Alabama. And we'll be speaking with Christian Smalls in a few moments here to discuss that and his other work with Amazon. But what does it say, though, that we are in this phase where now we knew the problem 80 years ago? Hell, we've known the problem for centuries, but we had a really clear line of understanding what the real problem is in this country. But yet and still, we have found ourselves on the receiving end of big corporations, Amazons, even the digital space, the social media space, Facebook, and the power that they have over consumers, the power that they have over organizing and the ability to crush organizing. What do you say to this idea that solidarity and the moral arc of the universe is long, Dr. King, but it bends towards justice. But over the last 80 years, it has bended towards the rich and the wealthy?
Well, I say this. I mean, it's too easy to become complacent, but it's not just complacency. They had it figured out back in the early 70s. You may have heard of the Lewis Powell Memorandum that was authored and delivered to the Chamber of Commerce in 1971, which literally laid out the class war across the board. Similarly, people think this is a conspiracy theory, and it's not. The Trilateral Commission that was organized by David Rockefeller, Zbigniew Brzezinski, and issued the Crisis of Democracy report in 1975, and they laid out the similar kind of things. They actually named who needed to be suppressed, essentially, how democracy needed to be suppressed, essentially. And who did he name? He named labor. He named I think they wrote it up as minorities, the poor who were mobilizing, especially in the wake of King's launching of the Poor People's Movement, the women's movement, university intellectuals, humanities and social science, and the liberal media. They laid out the targets. And through the course of the 70s, we failed to coalesce into this broad coalition that might have at least provided an effective resistance. And they picked us off one by one. Well, the time has come, literally, and this is essential, to create that broad kind of front. That's the way in which we go forward. Sorry if I'm not answering your question exactly. No. It actually cuts to the core. It is the essential thing. It is what you said at the beginning of this conversation. It is the solidarity across racial lines, not solidarity with racism, but solidarity across racial lines with people who understand that Black Lives Matter, and that solidarity with workers. You spoke exactly to it. I actually want to remind, here I am in Wisconsin. I don't know how much time we have left, but here I am in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin win for Obama, okay? And then it wanted Bernie Sanders. It didn't get Bernie Sanders, and we ended up with Donald Trump. The thing we have to remember is that Wisconsinites, white working class Wisconsinites, voted for Barack Obama, okay? And what happened is they got so angry at the Democratic Party, and in essence, the turning of the Democratic Party giving their backs to the heartland, as we're sometimes called, that they would have voted. They wanted radical change. Even the polls said specifically radical change. Had it been Bernie Sanders, they would have gone there. And this discussion would have been radically different, in fact. The point is that we have to recognize that the capacity to mobilize across race and ethnic and religious lines prevails. Look, whether you're native born or newly arrived in this country, we are the heirs to a promise that goes back to the revolution. However often it has been denied, The fact is the promise persists. And the fact that you and I are talking about this is a sign of just how that promise persists.
Actually, now I do remember a conversation we had previously, really at the beginning of the pandemic,
right
after the first, I don't know, 50 or 80,000. And you wanted to make the point, and I heard the point, that in fact, we are like, whether or not, the founding fathers were white supremacists, but they had the Constitution, and the Constitution transcended their own white supremacy. Had they known that we would use the Constitution to liberate Black people and then to liberate the globe, maybe they wouldn't have written it, but they did. Too bad, James. Go ahead.
Yeah. The great Frederick Douglass, who was originally a Garrisonian and would have welcomed the separation of the North and the South to keep the North free from slavery. He was taught in the middle of his abolitionist career to read the Declaration and the Constitution in a new way. And that was, it didn't matter the hand that wrote it. What mattered was the promise projected. Okay. And thus he was able to say in What to the Slave is the 4th of July, after he lambasted the denial of the freedom, to say that he still had hope because that promise was greater than anything.
Professor Harvey J. Kaye, historian, sociologist, professor emeritus of democracy and justice studies. Thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you, Ben. It's always great to talk to you.
We'll be back after this.
Thank you so much for Professor Harvey Kaye for joining us this morning on Like It or Not. We greatly appreciate you, y'all. Everyone, make sure that you download the Voices by Action Sprout app so you are able to join the Like It or Not group. Make sure once you download the app, make sure that you enter group code 213-756-213-756 and you will be connected to the Like It or Not group, y'all. That way you can send us all pictures, videos, stories, answer any questions, ask us any questions, and we'll get it on there, y'all. Like it or not, let's go.
You're looking for something better. Is this what you want now? Or is it because you can't forget her?
Shout out to everybody that's checking us out in the chat room on all platforms. Make sure that you are hitting that like button, y'all. Make sure that you comment, share, and subscribe.
Give you what you need. You're misbehaving. Yeah, it's getting to me. It's never ending. You can give anything, so you can go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Yeah, so I can focus. I just need to focus on myself. Yeah, you better go, go, go. This is what I want now, and yeah, I'm waiting for something better. This is what I want now. No, I won't settle for anything else. I can't keep pretending. It's not getting to me. It's never ending. Can't give you what you need. Oh no, no. You're misbehaving. Yeah, it's getting to
Tammy.
me. It's never ending. You can give anything, so you can go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Yeah, so I can focus. I just need to focus on myself. Oh, you better go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Yeah, so I can focus.
Right.
I just need to focus
That's a good one. I like that one. Wait, what did she say?
So I can focus on myself. Hey, that's a word right there.
Focus on myself, right? Okay.
Come on, somebody. It's that type of week. Amen.
Yeah.
Ben said I talk too much, so I can't look.
Amen.
It's that type of week.
It's been that kind of week. All right, Bubba Jakes. We hey, listen, I'm telling you, when we build our studio, I'm gonna have a Hammond organ in there. So y'all gonna play around. I'm gonna jump off the microphone. I'm gonna get on the Hammond and watch Bubba Jakes preach. That's what we're gonna do. Rebecca,
if you do that, Ben, don't get me started, Ben.
And then I'm gonna be doing praise team. I'm gonna be praise team.
You gonna do the praise? Are you gonna be doing the praise dancing?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and then praise dancing because y'all know I get down with that.
Because are you gonna praise dance or you gonna be praise dance 1 second and then you gonna start looking back at it because you go either way with you.
That's all a part of me. I look back at it because I need to look back from where I came from.
Look where he brought me from.
Look where he brought me from. Come on. Anywho, let's try to get.
We ain't got no sense. Let's talk some politics.
Before our next guest comes in, so this story might get us a little hot too. You know what I'm saying? So get ready for that. Yeah. But dozens of migrant teens boarded vans Monday headed for Carrizo Springs, Texas. The first migrant child facility opened under the Biden administration, which they tried to put out as something that's amazing. The Trump-controlled facility has been reactivated to hold up to 700 children ranging in ages from 13 to 17. Government officials say the camp is needed because facilities for the migrant children have had to cut capacity by nearly half because of the pandemic. So yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, thank you so much, had this exchange with Peter Ducey of Fox News about the matter. Before we get to this thought, though, I want people to be clear. I want it to be very clear that this thing that they're trying to sell to you is still the same thing. It's cages for kids. But let's hear what the press secretary had to say.
Why is the Biden administration reopening a temporary facility for migrant children in Texas?
Well, first, the policy of this administration, as you well know, but just for others, is not to expel unaccompanied children who arrive at the border. And the process, how it works, is that Customs and Border Control continue to transfer unaccompanied children to the HHS Office of Refugee Resettlement. That can take a couple of days. But because of COVID-19 protocols, the social distancing requirements, the capacity of the existing Office of Refugee Resettlement shelters has been significantly reduced because, of course, you can't have a child in every bed. There needs to be spacing, and we abide by those spacing to protect the kids who are living in those facilities for a short period of time. And to ensure the health and safety of these kids, HHS took steps to open an emergency facility to add capacity where these children can be provided the care they need before they are safely placed with families and sponsors. So it's a temporary reopening during COVID-19. Our intention is very much to close it.
But it's the same facility that was open for a month in the Trump administration, summer 2019. That is when Joe Biden said, under Trump, there have been horrifying scenes at the border of kids being kept in cages. And Kamala Harris said, basically, babies in cages is a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government. So how is this any different?
These are facilities. Let me be clear here. One, there's a pandemic going on. I'm sure you're not suggesting that we have children right next to each other in ways that are not COVID safe. This is not kids being kept in cages. This is kids. This is a facility that was opened that's going to follow the same standards as other HHS facilities. That is never our intention of replicating the immigration policies of the past administration. We need to find places that are safe under COVID protocols for kids to be, where they can have access to education, health and mental services, consistent with their best interests. Our goal is for them to then be transferred to families or sponsors.
Okay.
You gotta get me ready when I come back on. There's still more to the story, but this is just so much to unpack from her, which we will get to her in 2 seconds. But Jamal Bowman tweeted about it in early afternoon on Tuesday, saying, regardless of who's in the White House, the words migrant facility for children shouldn't be in our government's vocabulary, right? And then AOC tweeted about it later on as well. She said, "This is not okay, never has been okay, never will be okay, no matter the administration or party." And this is what we have been discussing all day today. Right. We don't care who it is. We don't care what the color is. Okay.
Wrong is wrong.
We don't care what the party is. Wrong is wrong. This is the same thing. This is the same facility, different president. So this is the same facility, different name. You're caging children. You are caging them. And you're saying that, and you tried to say, oh, you think because COVID-19, you think we're not going to protect these children during COVID-19? They were in terrible situations before as well, getting sick, dying. We didn't forget.
Right.
We didn't. Those conditions were bad.
My thing is that folks, we got to be honest with ourselves, right? First and foremost, this kind of tongue in cheek. I don't know why anybody would want to come to America right now. Somebody needs to send a memo to everyone who's trying to get to the United States. Stay away. Not because we don't want you. We love you. Come, right? But not now, because America is a destructive place where we just saw 500,000 people die. So, but then I put it in context of what America does in the global South, right? What we do in Latin America, what we do below our border. And we create the conditions that are so bad that they actually have to risk life and limb and everything in their freedom to get to the United States. So it is our foreign policy that is part and parcel for why there is such a mass migration into the United States. And you got to really put it into perspective, folks. It is so bad. What we do across the global South, in this case, particularly below our border, it is so bad that people will still risk their lives and limbs to escape the conditions that we fostered in their homes. That's number one. Number two, Democrats, Joe Biden supporters, y'all gotta keep it 100, because either it was okay for us to cage people during the Trump administration and it's okay now, or it was wrong then and it's wrong now. I don't care how much word salad they wrap around it. If you were upset with it then, don't make excuses for it now. That's all I got, Rebecca.
I mean, that's enough. What, Bubba?
Hey, I know. Because it was one part in there, they called it refugee something shelters. They trying to give it another name for what it actually is.
Right.
Just trying to give it a nice name. Do better.
They tried to make it do better. They tried to make it. Sorry, Ben, I didn't want.
I was gonna say no. I'm with you. They try to make it sound better.
Yeah. They try to make it sound better, and
it does sound better. It does sound better because they're not speaking in the xenophobic vitriol that they're not speaking in the bigotry language, right? They're not saying illegals. They're not saying all these things. But that's
what I hear when I hear
it's still cages.
I hear illegals.
Right. But if you talk about people, right. Well, I mean, obviously, that's still the reality, right? But they put flowery language around it, and she says it so patiently and so calmly. You're not going to suggest that.
And because she's liked, because she has been a press secretary that's liked, right? She came in
so far,
young, and she's young, but I know you have a duty. For the president, you do. You have to have his back. You got to make sure that
she ain't got no choice on that. Yeah,
she has no choice, and I do understand that. But it's so crazy because now when you are being questioned, it sucks.
I couldn't do that job.
Yeah, because I'm going to be like, you know what? I told him.
Truth is, we still caging him. What's going on?
Wrong. Look, Robinette, it's wrong. Okay.
How fast would you be fired?
Right. Look.
How fast would we be fired as press secretaries?
I wouldn't have even made it to the DM. I would have never made it to the pulpit. I would have never made it to the desk. I never would have made it because I would have been like, see.
No, I would have made it. I'd fake long enough. I would fake. I'm subversive. I'm a subversive ass dude. Like I will fake it long enough. Yeah, Joe Biden. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, all right. We got rid of Trump. America is still caging people. They're still caging children. That's the truth that I've seen.
You would have been tweeting
from the mic. I wouldn't even made it to the podium.
They would have been on Ben's shoulder. Baby, log out for me, please.
Hey, what's that from Scandal B613? Man, Joe Biden would have sent somebody out. I'd be out of here so quick and fast. They'd be like, we can't believe this dude. We trusted him. And he got on this pulpit and told the truth. Yep. It's a press secretary's job to lie.
And it sucks. It sucks for her, but it is. And but yeah, I wouldn't have made it through that. And because old boy came with the questions that were legit. Sweetie, in 2019, this is the same thing that he did. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris literally denounced it. They denounced it, and here they are.
Somebody help me remember the guy who was asking the question. I think he's I believe he's from Fox News. Which to me says, and people are going to use that as an excuse. Well, he's disingenuous. Yes. Very disingenuous. If my memory serves me correct, because I could be completely wrong, but if he had his mask on, I think he might be from Fox News. If he's from Fox News, he has no moral standing to ask any questions, but those questions were poignant. So,
not everybody
is what it is.
Fox News is trash all across the board. Trash. But there are some people who literally that I know who work for Fox News, who that's just the network they work for, and they are real journalists. They ask the questions. It's a rare thing, but they are there. So, and they ask the questions, and his questions were valid. I mean, he was saying, and he had receipts. This is the thing. This is the thing, people. This is it, because there's always a thing. Mm-hmm. When you come with receipts, what can you do? I can't even get mad. I don't care if he was at Fox News. I don't care where he coming from. He came with receipts. Trump.
We'll trash him. We'll trash him tomorrow, because I'm sure he's gonna ask something that's in bad faith.
But Trump built this cage. Trump built this cage, and then Robinette came in and fluffed up the cage, gave it a little bit of swag, and it's the same cage that he said that he would not be a part of, and denounced the whole way that Trump did this and what he was doing to kids, and how Kamala said that this was a humanitarian issue. Was that what she said? It was something like that.
Is it no longer a humanitarian issue?
I don't know, because she's missing, so I don't know if she's going to say anything about that. And Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, he has been literally following through on everything that he said. He doesn't even care if it was tweeted out. He doesn't even care if he said it on any
because they're calm, they're relaxing, they're soothing.
Yes,
it is the opiate of the masses to have a nice, calm granddad as president.
Yes.
100,000 people died last month. 100,000 people died last month. And cages are cages. Student loan debt needs to be canceled, and folks need a check. I don't care who you are. I don't care if y'all can come back with Barack Obama. I'm going to say it 3 times. I'm going to say it with a little more bass in my voice. We got to cancel student debt. People are still dying from COVID because y'all not writing us checks. And cages are cages, even if Democrats are doing it. That said, let's just do a quick 30-second break, James, and then we're going to come back and speak with Christian Smalls. He is a labor activist, and he has been taking it on the chin, leading a fight against Amazon. We'll talk to him in about 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the perfect time to discuss the Voices by Action Sprout app. Make sure that you scan either one of those QR codes, depending on what phone you have, be it an iPhone or an Android device. Make sure that you scan those apps. What will happen? It will come up with the Voices by Action Sprout. Once you search for that, you can use our group code 213-756. Again, 213-756 is our group code. Then you will be placed in the Like It or Not group, and from there, you can upload pictures, videos, stories, whatever you may have, and we can get it played on air. All right? So make sure you get that downloaded as soon as possible, y'all. Like it or not.
Is a young brother by the name of Christian Smalls. In March of 2020, Amazon fired Christian Smalls from his job at a fulfillment center in Staten Island after he helped organize a protest outside of his workplace. Smalls said that he did this to bring attention to unsafe working conditions at the start of this pandemic. Brother Smalls, Christian, how you doing, man? Thanks so much for joining me again.
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I wanted to bring you on. We spoke at the start of this pandemic, and at the start of this pandemic, you made a lot of waves. And in fact, you became a primary target of Amazon because of your union efforts, your unionizing efforts, but also just, pointing and highlighting the fact that the conditions of workers in Amazon warehouse were atrocious and literally led to people catching COVID-19 and even some deaths. Can you talk about what you were working on then and what you're working on now with regard to this this union effort?
Absolutely, yeah. Last year, as you remember, the height of the pandemic, New York City being the epicenter, I tried to be proactive instead of retroactive and protect my workers, employees that work underneath me in my department, in that entire facility from catching COVID-19. The company refused to listen. And as a result, 11 months later, you may have heard Letitia James has filed a lawsuit on my behalf. Over 250 of those associates at that facility have contracted the virus. And many of them came back to that facility within 7 days. So it just validates the fact that I was telling the truth the entire time. And, that somebody needs to be held accountable. So I'm glad that we're seeing that there's an investigation and also a lawsuit that's following up on that. So, where we at now, we're still trying to unionize. Alabama is the main focal point right now. I just came back from Alabama last week. And I think the media and everybody should be talking about that.
Absolutely. And speaking of Alabama, Bessemer, Alabama, Amazon workers are voting on whether or not to unionize. And on Tuesday, actor Danny Glover joined those workers in solidarity, where he was invited by a local news station. And this is what Danny Glover had to say about what's going on in Alabama at Amazon. We take a quick look at that. Yeah, here it comes.
Here to Birmingham. What brings you here?
Well, I'm here to support workers who are employed by Amazon, who have a very important vote at this particular moment, and that's to vote on whether they want to have a union. And I'm partial to that in the sense that I'm a big union supporter and certainly been a supporter an advocate for organized labor and unions since I was a child. My parents were union workers. My mother and father were at the United States Post Office all of their career, and each and every point of that, they were involved in the union as young adults until they retired.
Wow. So this is somewhat personal for you, I guess, with trying to convince people.
Well, I'm just trying to support them. It's certainly the fact that a union doesn't need me here to ordain or to champion its purpose. I've seen it work, as I said, in my own life, and seen it work as always around various other experiences that I had, whether it's been with hotel workers or laundry workers or clothing manufacturers, textile workers, or all those places where I've been able to support auto workers, support unions. And it's one of the very great privileges that I've had as someone who has gained this visibility by on stage and television and films, but at the same time have a chance to support ordinary people.
Christian, could you speak to the significance of what's happening in Alabama? Like you said, you were just there. Danny Glover was just there last night. It is a massive movement, and it's a movement against a tremendously, unimaginably powerful organization by the name of Amazon.
Absolutely. This is probably the most important union vote probably since the 1930s, since the Great Depression. There was an economic collapse then. Last year, we seen that with in 2020, and we're still living in this pandemic right now. And right now, we have an opportunity for the first time in American history to have an Amazon facility unionized. And I think it will galvanize the rest of the nation. I think this will be an uprising for all unions across the nation. So Once again, I believe this is probably the most important union vote on the table since the 1930s. And I think it's really important. It's just, if it's successful, that we can also use this news to galvanize and organize facilities all across the nation, which I plan to do. So I'm hoping that I have good news once the union vote is closed.
I want to bring my co-host Rebecca Azor into the conversation because, as I look at what you're doing, man, and the fact that you personally have been a target of Amazon, right? The first thing they did was fire you. And then the next thing they did was a PR campaign against you. And you had to get help from the people. The people had to step in and speak to that real quick for me.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. A week after I was fired, Jeff Bezos and his top general counsel, tried to run a smear campaign, calling me not smart or articulate. And ironically, make me the whole face of the unionizing efforts. So, that's exactly what I did. I founded an organization. I traveled the country for the last 11 months with my organization, protesting at every single one of Jeff Bezos' mansions. And here we are. We're still fighting. And one thing I learned from Amazon, a principle was called see it, own it, and fix it. And I saw the issue last year, and I owned up to it. And I hopefully, when it's all said and done, I fix some type of issues that we have with that company systemically. So that's what I'm here for the long haul.
Well, that's definitely, Christian. Hi, how are you? That's definitely what I wanted to touch on as well, because it's interesting how they tried to put it on you when you decided to protest against the conditions that were there, saying that, hey, they're lying about the people that even have or that have tested positive for COVID. They have us in these conditions during the height of the pandemic. And all of the sudden, they turned around and said they fired you because you were putting the workers' lives in danger, and that because of you, they were now testing positive, or they tried to put that rhetoric out there. How did you correct the story and make it yours and correct the narrative?
Yeah.
I continue to tell the truth. The truth will set you free. And I told the truth from the beginning. And ultimately, as a result, now in this new lawsuit, you've seen, if you read the lawsuit now, 2 HR reps, the top HR of the building, and her BP, her business partner, wrote a letter in solidarity saying that I should have never been terminated. They said that the termination was justified and that the quarantine policy was never clarified to me. And also, I never returned inside the facility when I protested. I was outside the entire time. So again, I told the same story from the beginning. And now it's starting to come to the light. The truth is coming out there. And I think the people that were behind the scenes that had to sit in on that termination, they're starting to feel that it was definitely wrong, and they're going to speak up about it. And I'm happy to see that it's coming out now.
Yeah, and it's also because of your voice, right? You decided to take a stance against what was going on in there during the pandemic, although they tried to put that smear campaign out and said that you weren't smart, you weren't articulate. Indeed, you were. You weren't doing this for clout. You were doing this because this was affecting you and the people that you were working around. How would you say that your life has changed in this past year with you doing the protest and you traveling to make sure that other people in these Amazon locations are
every mansion. You went to every mansion, Jeff Bezos? Man.
Everyone.
That's real G.
Bad boy.
On Google. I'm pretty sure you got more of them, but we hit up a lot of them. And my life changed forever. Definitely couldn't imagine this a year ago. I actually just looked at one of my memories on Snapchat. I think I was in the club popping bottles last year. So, I just tell people I wasn't an organizer beforehand. I was a concerned supervisor, obviously a father of kids. And that was my main concern, my children and my family. But I realized it's a bigger picture. And it's bigger than me. And if nobody else would have did it, I don't think we would have got to this point. You know, if I didn't step up, if I didn't continue to fight back, I don't know how long workers would have went unprotected. Number one. Number two, once again, I don't think Jeff Bezos would have retired this year. So it's a lot of that, that happened.
Yeah, I was say like he's the heat that's getting ready to come to Amazon. Jeff Bezos is like, I'm out of here. He stepped down for Amazon, but we still know where his mansions are, and we know where his money is coming from, and we know where all those facilities are, especially in Atlanta. They're everywhere. And in the last time we spoke, let me get off that train of thought because it'd take me somewhere dark. The last time we spoke, you said that you also had difficulty convincing some of the workers at the warehouse to participate in this. A year later, and all the stuff that I know that they went through, do you think their minds have changed? And have you heard from any of them? And have any of them come that were hesitant before? Are any of them standing in solidarity with you now?
Yes, we definitely gained a lot more support. Workers definitely seen the issues. They actually lived it. They're still going through it as we speak. There's still workers still contracting the virus, unfortunately. We had a worker who just died a few weeks ago from Virginia. Wow. He was a COVID tester. Pushan Brown, I had to raise money for that family. So we're still living with the same issues I was fighting on day one. But we definitely have a lot more support now, even international support, from Amazon workers over the world. So, I'm hoping once again with the union vote in Alabama, I'll have some good news after March 29th when the vote is closed. To come back up here in New York and start, organizing that building again in the Staten Island. Part of the lawsuit is actual reinstatement. So is it possible they reinstate me? That probably
better
my
position only. Better position only. We ain't taking nothing less, baby.
Yeah. Nah, they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Nah. Listen. Before we get out of here, because we're coming up on the half hour mark, but I want the people to support you. And tell them. Is your GoFundMe still up? Matter of fact. Right. So tell them about where they can financially support you and where they can follow you, and anything else you need them to know about your work.
Absolutely. Yes. Follow me on Twitter at @shut_down Amazon. No surprise there. My organization at TCOEW on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TCOEW. The GoFundMe is on my Instagram page. In the link is in the bio, Chris.Smalls_.
Yeah. Christian Smalls, brother, thank you so much. I just want to say this while you're on air, before we turn it over to the DJ to take us out of here. Rebecca, if you want to get a last word, obviously it's your show. I'm just filling in. But man, one thing that I came to terms with over this pandemic was that the revolution will not be led by podcasters. It won't be led by YouTubers. Ain't going to be led by people like me. It's going to be led by brothers and sisters and non-gender conforming individuals like you who are actually out there with your lives on the line right now in this moment, delivering packages to the rest of us privileged people who have the luxury of staying this pandemic at home. So I salute you, brother, in solidarity.
And also, Christian, like I said, they tried to count you out. It's just the theme for the week. Today, they tried to literally count you out, they tried to count you out back at that time, and you were just a supervisor that was concerned, but you pulled back up and you was like, well, who ain't smart? Who's not articulate? I'm fighting for people. I'm doing my thing. And you just been winning ever since. But the fact that you're doing it, by helping people, that is the biggest part to me. And when you are genuine like you, it's going to keep on coming. Like your heart is really, truly there. And I think that that's why it's important that people see this and they support you. It's just going to grow, and more power to you, brother. More power to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Solidarity. James, give us some soul music. Give us, it could be twerking.
Give me something to look back at.
Give us something.
James, give me something to look back at and celebrate.
Let's celebrate.
We still got guests.
Hey, Christian, man, we're going to see you, man, brother. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much, Christian Smalls, for joining us today, y'all. We greatly appreciate it, man. Stay up, brother. Keep up your good hard work, bro. Most definitely. All right, y'all, this is Like It or Not. We're going to rock out for a couple of minutes, man. Play y'all one good track I've been trying to play all day long. Let's see. Let's go. Hey, make sure that you hit that like button before you leave out of here today.
It was just a misunderstanding. You waited in the rain for hours, and I couldn't say the right things. No, I checked your number twice, then I went home. But I wanted.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to download the Voices by Action Sprout app so you can join the Like It or Not group. Make sure that you use group code 213-756-213-756. Don't forget to search for Voices by Action Sprout, y'all. Send us in your media, your stories, your videos, your pictures, whatever it is you may have, and we'll get it on the show, y'all. Like it or not.
Love is all around, so baby, what's your hurry? You don't have to prove us to anyone. You don't need to worry. Go down now, sugar. Go down now, honey. Go down now, baby. Go down, sugar, give it up.
Of course we have trolls, fair. That's how they always do.
Go down now, baby. Go down, sugar, give it up. And I want you to meet my parents. Yeah. Now I'm including you in my whole world. With you, I'm so transparent. You tear down every wall that I built up. Now I wanna let you know that.
Y'all make sure that y'all follow my Mixcloud and SoundCloud pages as well too. DJ X3C on both of them. And if you feel like tipping your DJ, you can. DJ X3C on Venmo and Cash App. DJ X3C on Venmo and Cash App, y'all.
I mean everything I said, you don't have to search no more.
And we appreciate the love so much. Aurora, yes she does. She definitely reminds me of Fantasia.
You don't need to worry. Go down now, sugar. Go down now, honey. Go down now, baby. Go down, sugar, give it love. Go down now, sugar. Go down now, honey. Go down now, baby. Go down, sugar, give it love. Go down now, sugar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap it up for another episode of Like It or Not, y'all. Make sure that y'all are here in the morning. And as usual, make sure that you download that Voices by Action Sprout app so you can get connected to the Like It or Not group, y'all. We hope that you enjoyed the show today. Shouts out again to Professor Harvey Kaye and also Christian Smalls. Greatly appreciate both of you for coming on. Tomorrow, have another great show. So make sure that you stay tuned and that you have your face in the place. And as usual, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Same bad time, same bad channel. Like it or not, y'all. DJ Exclusive out.